welcome. This is another cool React Native tutorial, and in this tutorial we'll be building this cool model. As you see, we animate the background, we can close the model, it disappears, we can open it and it animates, and we can save it. As it saves, it goes up. So we'll learn how to do this. At the same time, we'll also learn how to use pointer events in React Native. I'll explain to this at the end of this tutorial. If you want to learn about this, you can just go to almost the end of this tutorial and you'll learn how to use pointer events. Right now I have this code here which I already built because it's too much coding, so I thought I would build it ahead and explain it as we do the tutorial. At the same time, I also have the basic functions that I need, both interpolation and other touch events already I have laid out here. So now let's go ahead and get started. So let's save it first and see the current thing. All right, currently it's all empty. I have a container and I have two styles here for this container and center. Let's go ahead and see them. So our container is here, flex property 1. It has a white background, and then I also have this center which puts everything in the center of the screen. Currently I don't have anything, so we all see is empty. So the first thing we'll be building is this this button here, this cool button. Let's go ahead and do it. All right, okay, so we'll build this button with the touchable opacity because we want to able to touch it. So let's go ahead and give it some styles. So styles dot, I'll call it main button, and okay, now let's go ahead and save it and see in our simulator what happens. Okay, all right, so the button is here. Let's go ahead and see the button property here. Our main button is down here, so it is z-index over here actually, and if you have width and height, border radius and shadow, and pretty much everything is defined here. It's very basic style properties that I have defined, and now I want to display a text over here, so we'll do it within text component. All right, and now let's go ahead and call this, give it some styles. So styles.text. Okay, now let's say it. Okay, of course the text doesn't show up because I don't have any text, so we can call it open. All right, okay, now it's not centered, so we want to apply the center style here we did for earlier buttons. So earlier design up there, center. So now it should put everything in the center, but which did not. Okay, hold on, the style should not be here. It should go up. Okay, put everything in the center. Okay, here we go. So now the button is there, the text is centered, and I want to create a shadow for this and a shadow button with a shadow border. So let's go ahead and create that. Actually, I'll create a different view. It would look like a button, but not exactly a button, and we'll provide styles to it. So we'll call it styles.shadow button, I guess, and we'll move our touchable opacity within this view so that we can see the border and shadow. So let's go ahead and do it, control up. Yes, right? Okay, now again the same problem, is not centered, so we'll apply our styles here, center. Okay, so everything is center and it is shadow, and the shadow button, this object already has shadow, like as you can see that our border color of the shadow is blue, and height and width and other shadow properties, and we also set elevation for Android phone, and this one just works in iOS, it doesn't work in Android. With this we'll be able to work on Android device. Okay, so now this button is ready, and let's make sure it's touchable. So to do that, I'll create onPress property and pass it a function here and make sure that it would work. Console.log, we'll say react. Okay, now let's go ahead and save it, and let's open up my terminal, make sure that it's working. Our terminal is here. Okay, let me click on it. So yeah, it is working, so I'll shut down the terminal, I don't need that. Okay, so this has been done, and as it is done, I'll comment out for now. So Control K C. All right, so now it will be gone. Why? Because we want to do that next design right now. So what is our next design? Sorry, not this one. This is our next design. So this is the thing we want to build right now, and as you can see, it has a container over here. So first we'll build this container. Go ahead and do it. All right. Oops, sorry. So to do that, first we'll define a view here from view component. All right. Okay, and this view will have style property. So as always, so I'll call our style object over here, styles.wrap. Okay, all right, now let's go ahead and say it in our emulator. So this is over here. Now we can go and see the wrap. It has some padding, margin, and again it also has this shadow thing so that it looks cool, right? Okay, so right now we don't have anything in this wrap or view object, so nothing is there. So we can put to do the design. For the design right now, as you see from the design, we have this big hello text. So let's go ahead and do it. So we'll define it within our text component, and we'll give it a object. Sorry, the text should be hello. Okay, and let's say save it and see in our simulator. Okay, so hello is very small and it's over there, so we need to give it some styles. So styles dot hello text, which I already have defined here. And well, now but now I want to give it a default text which is white, and this is also coming from our styles object, so I'll call it text. So I'm applying two styles here. So this is our wrap container. Within this we have this text object. So next, what do we do next? We need to have this line of text over here, so we can wrap it again within our text component. So let's go ahead and write it. So we can say we love React, it's the best mobile UI framework, and we are gonna be the best developers. Learn React every day. All right, so that's what we have right now. Okay, now let's save it and see the result. Of course, it's too tiny, so again we need to apply the style here. Style, so styles.text. Let's say it. Okay, but that should have a bit of different styling because I want to have a space over here. So I'll apply another style here, which I already defined. Styles dot, I called it more text. Okay, so now there is a top margin here. Top margin is coming from our style object. This one, let me find it. Yeah, more text, like top margin 64, margin top, and everything is centered, as you can see. All right, so now we are done with this one. And what is our next target? Next, we're going to build these two buttons over here. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and do that. Start over. Okay, now the button should be able to touch, so we'll do it within using our touchable opacity, and I'll wrap it within view component, and I'll just copy paste this one from here, and I'll paste it over here. All right, okay, so right now we can go ahead and save it and see the result. Yeah, so the button is here, but this is not the exact button we want. We want a button like this. Okay, the first thing we need to do is change the title of this button. Instead of open, I want to call it close. Save it. Yes, it's closed now. Okay, and well, now instead of main button, we can use a different kind of property here, style object. So it's I would call it modal button. Okay, well, now this button is taking a lot of space over there, the whole container. That's because we need to change the first flex direction. Default flex direction is vertical over here, or this vertical or y-axis, but we're going to turn it to x-axis. So style flex direction row. Yes, we are good now. Flex direction row, and it's taking the whole space horizontally, because there is only one button, so you want to put a few more buttons over here. And so one more button, actually, not a few more. Okay, now we're gonna call it yes button or save button. Okay, now we have two buttons over here, and this modal button property is designed over here. As you can see, the background is transparent, so this background and button background is the same, and they have border color, this one, and border width pretty much like that. And the button has a flex 1 as we defined earlier. So when there is one button, it occupied the whole space. Now there is two buttons, so they occupy the space evenly. And also, because I'm using horizontal padding, a margin horizontal, so it's taking 5 pixels over here. All right, so that's all about these two buttons. So now we are done with the button, but of course these buttons, they don't work. Now we need them to work. So now let's put this main button and this model together, and let's see the result. What happens. So Control Command C. All right, now let's save it. Okay, so now we have this one and this button all together, sorry, this model. But that's not what we want. We want an effect where this button should be in the middle, and then this should pop up once we click on the button, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and do it. So to do that, first we need to hide this thing. Okay, so how can we hide? There are many different ways we can hide this this model or this container here. So we would be using animated property or animated API. So let's go ahead and define this thing. So now we'll call Animated.View. Okay, all right, now let's go ahead and move this container up. Okay, let's save it. Of course nothing changed because we are not animating. So how do you do that? All right, so let's go ahead and call our style objects over here. So styles dot, well, now first I wanna apply an interpolated style. Let's go ahead and see what happens. So what is open object here? So actually this open object is coming from here, which has two transform properties. One is scale, and then there's translate. Scale is for zooming in and zooming out, and translating for moving x, y direction. So what is scale doing here? So you see, we have this animated state variable which starts from 0, and over here, when you open the model, when we want to open the model, its default value is 0. Okay, all right, and because it's 0, so now over here, open model is this one. So that it scales to 0, and that's why it disappeared. Again, let me explain. So default animation value is 0, which mapped to input range to 0, and this input range maps to output 0. And now when our view is rendered, the default value 0, 0, 0 is taken and send it to our scale object or scale property over here. That's why we don't see it. We can prove it that it's over here, but it's because scale to 0, we don't see that. But we can prove that it is still there, 0.5. And let's change our input range 0.5, and let's save it. Okay, it's still there. I told you that it's there, but it's hidden. All right, because it's scaled to 0. So that's all about scaling, and I explained why you don't see it at the beginning. Okay, but now we want it to calm down. It's taking up because, as I said, that the object is still there, so it went up. Okay, it's still taking the space, we just don't see it. All right, to do that, we have to apply another property, style property or style object here. So styles.background. Okay, now let's see. Now it's in the middle. And why it's in the middle? Let's say this background object is this one. So because we are using absolute positioning for our background. So left, right, bottom, left, all 0, and within everything, within this background, everything would be centered, which I will show you later. But right now, because our background or this animated background has absolute position, so it is taken out from the main view, and as it is taken out from the main view, we see this takes the original space, because background itself is now absolute positioning. If you understand CSS how it works, the idea is same. All right, now the thing is that once we click on it, nothing happens, it doesn't show up. Why? Because we didn't define what should happen when we press on the button. So let's go ahead and call our function for trigger, model trigger. So we call it model trigger. Let's save it and see. Now it's shows up. So what is this function? Let's go ahead and say it. So this function is over here, model trigger. So animation value which starts from 0, and then once you click on the button, the animation starts and it's reached to value 1. As it reaches to value 1, because we also have the scale object or scale property here, so it slowly from 0 to 1 becomes bigger, and it's done using 500 milliseconds. So that's what happens. Now we want to hide it, but hiding doesn't work. So how do you do that? So let's go ahead and call the other functions for onPress events. Okay, so for closing, I want to call the close over here, and for saving, I want to call save. All right, so they work pretty much the same way. Here I have close and save. When I want to close it, scale down to 0 value, and then we call our transform object to change the scale property. So, and let's save it and close. All right, yeah. Okay, now it works, right? So we can close it, we can save it. Now let's see how we save it. When you save it, why it goes up. Right now the value of this animation is 1, right? Because we triggered it over here, we reached to 1. Now we want to save it, and once we save it, it goes up. How does it goes up? Let's see. So let's call this one save. So once we click on this button, this function is called, and the animation value, it has to reach to 2. And with this object, object here, as you see, we have input range and output range. So once we click on this thing, it starts from 1 because it's already 1, then reach it to 2 value. And when it reaches to 2, it reaches beyond this height of this screen, beyond the height of the screen. And what is the height of the screen? We found it from here. We defined height object from a dimensions.get window. It's just pretty easy. So you can get window, screen, and height using this API over here. So once we click on this, it reaches the value from 1 to 2, and at the same time it hides it. So minus height or minus something is actually over here, which we can't see. So that's how it works. All right, now see how to do the background animation. All right, okay, so to do the background animation, it would be pretty simple. What we can do, we can just call our background. Well, now let's see, actually let's define another animated API with view. All right, now let's move it up within the view because we want to animate this whole view. Okay, now let's save it. Okay, now you see it's weird, it's hidden there because this view itself doesn't have any style. So it's like well, it's almost hidden, we can't see. So let's give it style. So we'll provide the same style as the child over here. So this is the child animated view. So we'll provide the same style, styles.background. Okay, now we are good. Well, now you see this click doesn't work. So it has to do with the pointer events, like this mouse pointer where it clicks, because we have like over here parent view, sub view, this is another sub view, and this is sub view, this is sub view, and this is sub view. So different views there. So once you have this, too many views are all together and nested, so it creates problem with on-press touch events. So to handle this thing, we need to apply a prop here. It's called pointEvents. Now pointEvents will apply it box none. Okay, now let's go ahead and save it. Now we can click on this. It works, right? Yes. But well, so this clicking over here, so if we just put none, as you see, okay, it opens but it doesn't close. Okay, so when you apply none, it just works with parents but doesn't work with the children. And there is another property, it's called auto. Okay, with auto it works on children but it doesn't work on parent. Now this is the parent view. For this view, the parent view is this one over here. Okay, so it doesn't work on parent view. So to solve this problem, we need to do box none. Okay, let's go ahead and see the result. Okay, so what it does is that it tells that, look, this touch event should be enabled for my parents, which is this one, and the children I have. So the children I have are these few children over here, but for me, don't react on touch events. So that means if you click over here, it should not work, it should not have any response. But for this container, the children is these two buttons. That's what it's saying. So work with for my children and work with the father, but not with me. So that's how box none works, the same as the one we have in CSS. All right, now back to our background animation. So we want to animate the color, which we saw early. To do that, let's apply a color over here. So we'll call it background color. I guess that's what I called it early, or background. Okay, now let's save it. And now let's click on it. You see the background changed. Yes, now the background animation is working. So for background animation, this one over here, the idea is same. It's again coming from our original state variable animation, and as we interpolate for different values, we change the background color. Yeah. So what we learned in this tutorial? In this tutorial, first we learned how to nest different views within each other, and how the pointEvents work like that. And at the same time, we also learned how to change this animation value and control it using interpolation. We keep the track of the value and then change it. So sometimes it's like, for example, here now it's 1, now we change the value to 0 when it tap on this button. So we learned that from 0 to 1, 1 to 0, 2 to 0, like that. So how to change the interpolated value or the value of animation. And what else? Let's see. And we also learned how to scale and translate things. And at the same time, we also learned that we can also animate the background color. And as we are animating the colors or background, so we need to use native driver false, because the color can't be animated using native driver. If you set it to true, it will show an error. All right, guys, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up, give me a like, and share it. And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks a lot.